Hey guys, we are back with some more Seattle franchise mode, and I think this team is ready to take that next step into becoming a better franchise because when you take a look at the amount of trade value that we have, we really have a lot of great assets in Boychuk, Zadina, De Silva, Henrich, Malkin, Mowers, and then of course you look in goaltenders, you got Corpusalo, you got Lop, and then of course any future assets that we may have with our draft picks that we have. So I'm really not concerned at all now for the future of this team. It's looking very bright. And then of course you have all these guys, Brodin, Malkin, Yuri Malkin, that is. We have two Malkins. McMuffin, Leopold, Gensel, Hardigan. You got all these guys. So I think we can start to take that next step. And now, as for the type of player that I'm looking for, I'm looking for all the acquisitions that I've been making over the past year have been based on one thing only: Stanley Cup final experience. And Jake Gensel, who we traded for this past year, Stanley Cup final experience with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And before that, the only person on this team with Stanley Cup final experience was Chris Tierney. He obviously was in the Stanley Cup final with the San Jose Sharks in 2015-2016, but everyone else, take a look at this roster, nobody else had Stanley Cup final experience, not even Derek Pouliot, not when he was with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and not Jonas Corpusalo. As a matter of fact, he does not have any NHL playoff experience. Take a look here, only AHL playoff experience. So the moves that we're going to make now, also based on that, not even based on age. There are a few guys in their 30s who we're signing. Obviously, we signed Cam Ward in the last episode, or we approached Cam Ward, rather. But this episode, we're not going to be signing Justin Falk. As much as he looks enticing, I don't think that's the right move for this franchise because we already have our elite right-handed offensive defenseman in Pete Boychuk. I don't think we need Justin Falk. It's just not the right move. But who we are going to sign, Joe Pavelski. This guy can really take the pressure off of guys like Filip Zadina, Kosarenkov, Petrovich, Hardigan, all the rookies basically on our forward core. So we're going to be signing him for 1 year to $8.2 million because we have the cap space. So I figured why not let this guy mentor our young guys and bring some veteran leadership into the locker room. Next, we're going to be signing Tyler Toffoli. Stanley Cup final experience with the LA Kings. So we are going to be signing him as well. And of course, Joe Pavelski had experience with the Sharks. We're going to be signing Toffoli to a 3-year deal. If I could get him at 6.4, that would be nice. And then next, we're going to be signing Christopher Tanev. Now, this guy can take the pressure off of guys like Pete Boychuk, Timothy Liljegren, who I'm going to give the chance to this year. And then, of course, Derek Pouliot, who got 50 assists last year. So I think Derek Pouliot deserves to play with a solid defensive defenseman. And that defensive defenseman, hopefully, will end up being Christopher Tanev. We'll give him, if I could get him for 5.8, 5.9, I'll go. That'd be great. And now, next on the list is Chris Kreider. Now, this guy, Stanley Cup final experience with the New York Rangers. Oh, and I also forgot to mention Christopher Tanev, Stanley Cup final experience. Not sure if it was with the Canucks, but nonetheless, Stanley Cup final experience. That is the one thing that all of these guys have in common. I'm going to sign Kreider for 1 year at, we'll go for $5 million. And then we also have, I believe that's all the forwards. I think there's one more. There's one more that I'm forgetting. It is, I think it's a defenseman. It is Zach Bogosian. Yes, we are going to be bringing back Zach Bogosian to Seattle. We originally picked him up in the expansion draft. And that would be 7 defensemen who we have. but he will be our 7th defenseman because I do want to give the chance to Liljegren this year. But just in case Liljegren starts struggling, I do want to have that veteran presence on the defensive core. And oddly enough, when you take a look at Bogosian, Stanley Cup final experience, 24 games played in the 2019-2020 Stanley Cup playoffs. So, yeah, that is all the free agents we're going to be signing. And of course, we got the rookies such as Pistola signed in the last episode, as well as all these forwards, Setaguchi, Godfrey, Ritu, Popowich, who we actually drafted, I believe, Tyler Popowich. Yes, we did. Second round 2018. So those are all the free agent signings we're going to be making and the reasons behind them. So as stated, I think this team is ready to take that next step. And let's see who we get from free agency. So Popowich, Setaguchi, Ritu rejected, Pistola, Godfrey rejected, okay. Bogosian's on the team once again. Welcome back, Bogo. Cam Ward is on the team. Tyler Toffoli is on the team. Chris Kreider is on the team. Tanev is on the team. Excellent. And Joe Pavelski is on the team. Very nice. Okay, so let's take a look at our roster as it is now and see how much we have improved. Now, we have 16.7 remaining in cap space. We might need to make one small signing just so we can make some room for ourselves in case we want to make any trades in the regular season. But I think other than that, this is a very solid roster, at least compared to what we've had before. Joe Pavelski, 87 overall. He's going to help our young guys develop. Same thing with Tyler Toffoli. Stanley Cup final experience. Jake Gensel, Stanley Cup final experience. Chris Kreider, Stanley Cup final experience. That's what I've been stressing this whole season, really. Philip Deneau, no Stanley Cup final experience, but, you know, we've had him since day one. Same thing with Reed Boucher. I'm not getting rid of any of our young guys just for Stanley Cup final experience, okay? It's not that important, but I did want to stress it pretty heavily. And then obviously you got Philip Zadina, who is an 80 overall. We might see a jump out of him still, so we might see him on the second line this year. You never know. Scott Lawton, and then Chris Tierney, Stanley Cup final experience. Artigan, Kosarenkov, Petrovich, we're all good. And I might add another thing, if I didn't say it before. Guys like Pavelski, Toffoli, and Kreider are not taking any time away from young guys. The closest guy to the NHL who isn't on the 12-man forward roster right now, because if you take a look, this right here is 9 from Pavelski to Tierney, then 10, 11, 12. And then after that, not really much going on. Kaninen, Kasha, Malkin is the next guy who I would expect to call up, and I think he needs one more year in the minors, and no one else after that is even close. So those veteran signings are not taking away ice time from our young guys, and it's not like there's even too many young guys who we would be giving a lot of ice time to anyway besides Zadina, so I think we are fine. And then defensemen, we have Brodin, Tanev, Boychuk, Pouliot, Puluk, Bogosian, and Liljegren will be our 7 defensemen for this year. And then, of course, goaltenders Korpisalo and Cam Ward to fill in for this year as a backup. And then, of course, in the minors, you got Brandon Lopp shutting things down there. So I really like our roster this year. I think we've taken leaps and strides forward over the past year or two. And we'll get one more person signed in free agency just to fill up the cap a little bit. You know, not obviously not going to sign him to a max contract because that'd be eating up literally all of our cap space. But, you know, just someone to like maybe 10 mil or 9 mil just to kind of balance it out in there, give us some breathing room in both directions, you know, from the cap ceiling and the cap floor. So we'll just sign, we'll sign a veteran here who's about to retire. Yeah, sure, Patty Marleau, sure. I mean, well, he could still technically be playing on an NHL team. I don't want to take that from him, so I'll sign like a depth forward who isn't really going to be playing anywhere. 40, who's for Chris Kunitz, fourth liner. you know what? We could use him. Stanley Cup final experience. Why not? I will give him 1 year at, as we slowly go up. I don't know why EA Sports hasn't implemented just a type pad sort of thing instead of doing this. Come on. Get to 9 mil. And there you go. 9 mil for 1 year for Chris Kunitz. All right. Let's advance just so we can see the signing of Chris Kunitz, and then we'll get to the start of year number 4. Chris Kunitz accepted. Let's get to the year 4 preseason. All right, we are in the preseason of year number 4. Let's check out the growth. We are now a hopeful team, so that's good. That's good to know. Roster moves. Let's take a look. Joe Pavelski is an 86, so he didn't drop off too much. And Pete Boychuk, good. 84 overall. He's definitely ready for that top 4 role. Christopher Tanev, 84 overall, as expected. And Jonas Brodin, 84 overall. Actually, let's... I do this every time. Let's go by position first. So, Cam Ward actually dropped off a little bit. Minor starting goaltender. We'll keep him. That's not a problem. You know, as a backup goaltender for what is still technically a rebuilding year, but we're kind of trying to start to win now. You know what I mean? We're still an average team, I would say right now, but we're at least, you know, trying now. So, and then obviously got Korpisalo. And then defenseman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Liljegren is ready for the NHL, 79 overall. I'm going to be switching up him and Bogosian as needed whenever we start struggling or whatever, or if Liljegren himself starts struggling, or vice versa with Bogosian. And of course, you got Pouliot, who will be playing on the top 2 this year with Christopher Tanev. Because as I said in free agency, he deserves, after the year he had, a opportunity to play with a good defensive defenseman like Chris Tanev. And then Brodin will be with Pete Boychuk, good mentor for him. And then Pulock will be with either Bogosian or Liljegren. And then forward-wise, I'm going to send down Kunitz. You know what? I'll keep Kunitz just as an injury player, and also for the veteran moral support in the locker room. So then you got Pavelski, Toffoli, Gansel, Zadina, who's an 82 overall. He is almost that second line forward. Just a little bit more seasoning. He's going to be on the third line. I don't know if I'm ready to move him on the power play just yet, but he will definitely be playing third line. Chris Kreider, 82. Philip Deneau, 81. Reed Boucher, 80. Chris Tierney, 80. Scott Laughton, 79. Hardigan, 79. Petrovich, 79. Kosarenkov, 78. He actually dropped off a little bit, so that's concerning. Then obviously Kunitz. Let's check on our rookies. Yeah, Yuri Malkin is not ready. He's going to be playing in the AHL 1 more year at least. 75 overall. Good, it's 85. If he was 85, he would definitely be called up. But no, 75 overall. Yeah, he's gotta be more seasoned there. And looks like we gotta get him some supporting cast to play with him. So we will go into the lines real quick for the NHL, see what the computer does. So it's doing Zadina, Gansel, Pavelski, Kreider, Deneau, Toffoli, Boucher, Tierney, Laughton, Kunitz, Petrovich, Hardigan. I'm going to scratch Kunitz. I'm going to put in Kosarenkov. All right, so Zadina, third line. I'm not stunting this guy's growth at all. He needs to be there on the third line in his role. Now, Kreider, first line with Gansel and Pavelski. Boucher, second line with Deneau and Toffoli. And then I would say Laughton, Kosarenkov, and Zadina. And then Tierney, Petrovich, and Hardigan. So I'm going to have to probably give penalty kill time to Tierney, Petrovich, and Hardigan. That's okay, in my opinion, because they are checking forwards. So that is all good. And then Scott Laughton checking forward. Zadina scoring forward, and then Kosarenkov is a depth forward, but we will give him another chance on the third line, as this is obviously looking much better than last year, especially with the acquisition of Joe Pavelski. And then on defense, we have Pouliot and Tanev, Brodin and Boychuk, and then Liljegren and Pulock. So, as I said, looking much better than last year. And then goaltenders, Korpisalo and Cam Ward. Looks good to me. Now, power play. It's going to be Pavelski, Gansel, I'm going to say Kreider, and then Toffoli with Pouliot right there, so that we're kind of stacking up that power play right there. Do I want to give Zadina power play time? I'm going to say no, just for right now. Just for right now, all right? So we'll give... That'll actually give Liljegren an opportunity on the power play. Who is righty, so that's good right there, actually. I'll keep Boychuk and Brodin together. And then, not Pulock, it'll be Toffoli, Danault, and Boucher. Yes. All right, that looks good. That looks good. And obviously, as Zadina grows throughout the years, he'll be on the power play probably as soon as next year. Or maybe even sometime this season. You never know. He'll probably get the opportunity sooner rather than later. And we will move Liljegren right here. So, Gansel and Pavelski, and then Danault and Toffoli. That looks good to me. Penalty kill time. Tierney, Lawton, Zadina, Petrovic. I'm going to take Zadina off. I will put Hardigan. And Hardigan actually has a good physical category, so he might actually be not too bad on the penalty kill. Lawton, I want taking face-offs. Tierney, how good are you at face-offs? Yeah, you're better than Petrovic and Hardigan, so I will put you there. Hardigan and Petrovic, yeah, I guess so. That looks good. And then Pulock, Tanev, Pouliot, and Brodin. I'm going to say Tanev and Pulock looks good. And then Brodin, Pouliot. Brodin looks good, but do I want Pouliot there? You know what? He deserves a chance. He was pretty good offensively last year, so I'm going to see what he can do on the penalty kill. I know his defensive stats aren't great, but I don't want to stunt Boychuk's growth by putting him there just yet. I feel like we do one step at a time, move him up to the top 4. And then once he's used to the top 4, get him used to the penalty kill. And then at that point, hopefully, he'll turn into a top 2 defenseman. And we could always throw in Zach Bogosian. We could go, technically, if one of our forwards starts struggling, we could go with 7 defensemen, put Liljegren as a forward, and then put Liljegren on the power play, and then Bogosian on the penalty kill instead of Pouliot. If that, that could be an option right there. So, Tierney and I want Lawton taking the face-offs, as he has an 80 for face-offs, I believe. Yup. All right, that looks good for the penalty kill. Now, 4-on-4, Gansel, Pavelski, Tanev, and Pouliot. Brodin and Boychuk with Danault and Toffoli. Tierney and Zadina with Pulock and Liljegren. That looks good. And actually, you know what? I'm going to put Liljegren over here. That's good. 3-on-3 is going to be Pavelski, Gansel. I'm going to say Brodin. And then Danault, Toffoli, Boychuk, Tierney, Zadina, and Tanev. That looks good. Extra attackers. I like my extra attackers to be centers. So Gansel and Danault. Get in there. And then shootout, Pavelski, Toffoli. I'm going to say Gansel. I feel like Pouliot isn't much of a shooter, but he has the deking and the puck control to be in the shootout. So I'll leave him there. I might take Boychuk out for, let's see, maybe Zadina or Boucher. Zadina's serviceable. I'll give Boucher the shot. He's been here longer. And he's a proven goal scorer as well. 19 goals last year, 25 the year before. He'll get it done. And then obviously goaltenders are good. And then Pugosian and Kunitz as the backup players for injuries and for veteran moral support. So that is going to be it for that. Those are the lines. Let's get the AHL sorted out real quick, and then we will get... Or let's actually do the draft first, and then we'll get the AHL sorted out. So Sheldon Huey. Now, I don't expect that we're going to be picking in the top 5 this year, but I still expect to be in the top 10, so... I mean, not that it matters anyway. It's always going to be the WHL that we're scouting mainly, but it's always good to know what your options are. Scouting, we will start, obviously, in the WHL, as we always do, as the game forces us to do. I mean, it pretty much forces us to do. So, yeah, we'll go interview contracts, not compensation, contracts. Come on. Slow game. View contracts, because we do need some AHL players. So we have 8.6 remaining in salary cap. That looks good. Go unsigned forwards. Okay, so hold on. How many do we need in the system? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 forwards. So we need 4. Lawrence Leopold. He's Canadian. He's probably going to stay in the WHL. Same thing with Stuart De Silva. McMuffin, Canadian. Henrich, Canadian. Moroza, Belarusian. So we can definitely sign Moroza. Top 9, sure. Then Kapitanov. Yeah, Russian. We can sign him. There's 2 rookies right there. Mowers is Canadian as well. Kennons. Now, Pavel Malkin. What to do about him? I think it'd be good to sign him. Even if it's just in a bottom... We played him in a bottom 6 role. Just because he has that medium elite potential. We'll sign him for sure. And, you know, he's Russian, so he won't go to the... Or at least I don't think he'll go to the Canadian Hockey League. Because that's what happened with Kosarenkov, right? But Kosarenkov is a real player who was in the CHL, but not so much for Pavel Malkin. So we will get 1 veteran player back for the AHL, and it should be Oscar Mahler, because, you know, he's he's pretty good at the AHL level. Get him for some nice scoring down there as we sort senses. Nope, not skating. Senses. There you go. Oscar Mahler. Get back on the team. There you go. And now we will take a look at defensemen and see how many defensemen the Miners need, if any. I'd imagine they need a few. We took Callan Foote from them, and we also took Timothy Liljegren. So let's take a look here. Yeah, they need defensemen. They only have Adam Pelech and Puistola. So let's take a look here. We'll go into unsigned defensemen. We don't have any unsigned defensemen. Okay. Let's go into free agency. I did not expect that, but I mean, I guess we've been drafting a lot of forwards, but I didn't realize we'd had no unsigned defensive prospects. So let's go into free agency here. Sign 4 guys, 4 capable guys. Specifically, we'll need some offensive defensemen here. Hansen, 2 Hansens, Nicholas Hansen and Peter Hansen. I wonder if they look like they could be brothers there. So we will sign both of them. Righty and lefty, I believe, as well. Yep, righty and lefty. Get them signed. And we'll get some good defensive defensemen to complement them. Josh Anderson. Not, I don't believe the Josh Anderson on Columbus, but yeah, no, definitely not the Josh Anderson on Columbus, but still looks like a serviceable defenseman. And we'll get a right-handed defenseman to go along with him. That'll be Matt Spencer, sure. And that will do it for that. We'll get a goaltender as well. just to back up, what's his name? Lop, and Mrazek's still here. That's weird. We'll get someone who's below like a 70, yeah, around a 70, because I want Lop getting most of the games. We'll sign Richard Bachman. We'll get a veteran. There you go. That should be it for that. We'll finally get out of free agency and then make all the lineup decisions for the AHL. And then we'll end this thing off because this is getting pretty long. Mahler accepted. Bachman, Spencer, Anderson, Hansen, and Hansen. Very nice. All right, so we'll get the AHL started now. And we will go into the lines. Or I guess first we'll go roster moves just to be sure that they are all still in the AHL. Yes, they are. So lines, AHL. We'll go best lines for right now. And okay. So I'm going to scratch Holmquist here. I will put Pavel Malkin in. And then Popovich, yeah, he can stay in. He is one of our prospects. And then Moroza as well. Just making sure that there's no one else scratched that shouldn't be. Yes, we're all good. We're all good. So Sternheimer, he can actually move down. He's got the AHL top 6 potential. But other than that, we are all good. So Yuri Malkin, Oscar Mahler, and who else? Who else? I'm going to say Holland. Or you know what? Ooh, Wajamaki's got the 88. Yeah, I'll leave Wajamaki on the first line with Malkin and Mahler. And then we'll have Kasha, Kaninen, and I'm going to say, what's Setaguchi looking like? 89 offensive awareness. Oh, yeah. Got to leave that on the second line. Kapitanov, 72 offensive awareness. I will put... Yeah, you know what? That looks good. That right there looks good. So, defensively, you have Pellick and Anderson. And then you have Hansen and Hansen. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be together on the same line because they're both offensive, more of an offensive defenseman sort of deal there. So I will put Anderson with Nicholas Hansen, and then Peter Hansen with Adam Pellick, and then Matt Spencer with Tuukka Puistola. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but whatever. And then Brandon Lopp and Richard Bachman. Special teams, you got Malkin, Wajimaki. Yeah, that all looks good. I'm going to just trust the computer for down here. Other than the 5-on-5 stuff. So, that looks good. And then obviously Pavel Malkin is down there. He'll get some time. Don't worry, boys. He's just going to... You got to slowly develop these guys. All right. Now, that is done. Let's hope that we can improve on our record this year and that we can maybe make a push for the playoffs. But if not, it's fine. You know, we're just trying to... This whole season and a half has been based on getting experienced guys to come in and mentor our younger guys so that they can, you know, get an idea of what it's like to win. So, but that being said, the best way to learn is by doing, right? So, hopefully, we can get into the playoffs. And that'll be about it for this one. See you guys in the next one.